this is a little leftovers hack I wanted to give you, since I always cut my burrito bowl in half from Chipotle. And I may even stop getting, I mean, when I'm hungry, I usually just order a tortilla on the side or just eat the bowl as it is. But I might just start ordering the bowl and then coming home and doing this with both sides. But with the second half of my bowl, I wrapped it in a tortilla that was already in my fridge, like a Mission tortilla. And I grilled it in a skillet, so that it's got a little bit of crunch and a little bit of toastiness. And then I topped it with Chewy's salsa, and I think it's the best combination of leftovers that you could possibly want. So I'm prepping some roasted carrots, and I have one little skinny sweet potato that I don't think is substantial enough for Jim to take to work. So I'm gonna roast these with one onion and a bunch of herbs, a little bit of garlic, and some balsamic vinegar, and that's sort of a snack prep for me to just munch when I need a quick snack that's healthy, or a side if I just want something a little bit more substantial and hearty, like if I'm eating salad for dinner. This will be a nice starchy side that's not very calorie dense. I got the kind of fancy multicolored carrot package because they look so good, and I feel like if something is beautiful, then you want to eat it more. And so I try to buy both beautiful and delicious produce to trick myself into wanting to eat it. Looks like a parsnip, but I think it's a carrot. It's supposed to be a carrot. Ta-da! Obviously you can make these as a side to an entree, but I kind of like reminding myself that just because it's often served for dinner doesn't mean it couldn't be a snack. And a lot of healthier foods we think of as dinner time items if they're cooked because they take a lot of preparation, but you can make a whole lot of it all at once, and then it's not it's not that much more inconvenient to just grab it out of the fridge and munch. So I figure if I brought it home from a restaurant, I'd have no trouble eating it as a snack the next day. So why not just make it? The other thing is I'm very, I've mentioned before, probably dozens of times at this point, how picky I am. And one of the things is I only like most vegetables one way. I only like celery raw, and I only like carrots cooked all the way to mushy, and ideally saturated in flavor, whether they're cooked with a roast so that they've got that jus beef flavor, or in this case balsamic vinegar. And so this is sort of a way to make sure I'm getting my vegetables, because I'm not one of those people who's just going to grab a raw carrot stick out of the fridge and eat it. The other thing is, let's see if I can get these out of the way a little bit. This is actually a paleo recipe. If any of you are considering doing a paleo diet, you'd have to leave the sweet potato out because sweet potatoes are a tuber, and paleo restrictions prohibit eating tubers like any kind of potato, legumes, which is any kind of bean or peanut, refined sugars, although honey is okay, vinegar is okay, wine is okay, and grains. So nothing made from corn, rice, wheat, oats, rye, etc. So that is what the paleo diet is. And I may be cutting these smaller than they need to be, but I don't want to be up all night waiting for them to cook all the way through. So I'd rather have smaller bites, better saturated in the flavor. Basically, I'm covering up most of the flavor of carrot. But at least I'm eating it, and at least it's fiber, and at least it's pretty low density, low calorie density, which is the big thing on the Noom app, is you want things that basically have a lot of water in them so that the number of calories per like volume ounce is relatively low. And so that's why vegetables are the ideal, and then fruits are still pretty good. Puffed things like puffed rice are a good thing. And obviously like water and anything that is rich in water like soup. So I also have a plan for the rest of these carrots. I have several ways that I'm willing to eat carrots, and I actually think that some of my pickiness works to my advantage because I feel like I don't have to buy as much fresh produce and remember to use it all. I can buy just a whole lot of carrots and maybe some sweet potatoes and a sachet of onions and some celery. And I've recently discovered I don't mind bok choy. But I can just get a whole bunch of that and eat it 6 or 7 different ways to have variety. And then I don't have to try to keep track of a bunch of produce that's going to go bad. But I can still have a lot more vegetables in my diet. There it is. I'm adding no fat to the pan or the veggies, except I am using this Pam Original Canola Oil spray so that the if the balsamic vinegar gets super hot, it's not going to stick terribly to the pan and be impossible to clean off. But it does say 0 calories per serving, and I didn't use a whole lot, so I don't know if it's a fake fat or what. So I'm going to start with the balsamic vinegar to get it kind of moist. I got this idea because I used to make recipes for, I had a friend who was battling brain cancer, and he was put on a very strict cancer diet, and he had a very limited number of items that he was allowed to eat, most of which were vegetables. It was a very low sugar diet, except he could have carrots and he could have most types of vinegar. And so he asked me if I could help him make a few recipes just to mix it up, because he was having to eat on this diet for months and months and months to battle the cancer. And so I came up with a bunch of recipes, but one of the big ones, other than roasted veggies, was I actually took the vegetables he was allowed to eat, roasted them all, and then I blended them up in different proportions with different kinds of vinegar and a few different kinds of spices that he was allowed to have, again in different proportions, and I actually made him some condiments. This is chopped onion, so it'll have that nice onion flavor. So some of them would be more oniony with some ginger and garlic, and that would be like an Asian sauce, because he couldn't have ketchup or most traditional condiments he wasn't able to have. And I was like, he's gonna get really bored even of the foods that like he can eat, not only because he's already bored, but because he can't like add sauce or seasoning. So I made several versions of a sauce. One was really spicy, and he couldn't have tomatoes, but like I used apple cider vinegar and beets to kind of give the feeling of eating tomatoes. And And then other ones were garlicky and savory. And then one had a lot of ginger, fresh ginger. So it tasted very like, very Asian. Anyway, so I'm adding garlic, chopped onion, which should hydrate a little bit as it cooks. And then some crushed rosemary, because you can just never go wrong with rosemary, in my opinion. It kind of makes you feel like there's a little bit of chicken going on, because you already learned to associate rosemary with chicken and poultry seasoning. And I am going pretty heavy with them because, you know, it's a snack, so you want lots and lots of impact with your flavor. And I'm going to put a little bit of thyme, which will give me that hearty savoriness of beef without having to cook meat. And frankly, beef is, again, more calorie dense than carrots. So I'll see if I can show a few more recipes this week of how I use my carrots and things like that. Like I said, though, this is a paleo-friendly recipe. Most veggie-heavy recipes are going to be okay with this. I don't know how low-carb the balsamic vinegar is. You could do this with apple cider vinegar, but you'd want to use less of it. So I'm probably going to cover it with foil and put it in the oven for a while, and then take the foil off at the end because I like to get them kind of brown and a little bit dried out at the top. But I want to make sure that they have enough moisture in here to cook all the way through first. So like I said, my oven is preheated because, I mean, you could put it in without a preheated oven, but you'll just be like waiting longer for them to cook. Like I said, though, this recipe, you could totally put it with like some pork or like seared or roasted pork or chicken or even beef. It's a great side, or it's just delicious by itself. Earlier tonight, while my phone was charging, I also prepared some celery sticks and just cut them up. They were actually very floppy when I got home, and I was a little concerned that they'd gone bad, but if you don't know this trick, with celery, you just put it into a thing and immerse it in water, and then put it in the fridge, and the cold water absorbs into the celery and makes it firm again, or turgid is the word for things that are stiff with water, and that actually, if you ever hear about osmosis, that's what they're talking about. That is the process of osmosis, is sucking the water up through the cell walls to make it turgid. Sticks. I like to eat these with fat-free ranch dressing, which is only like 30 calories total, for like, or 38 calories including the celery. So it's a great snack option when I'm hungry and I don't have a lot of points left, or a lot of calories left, or if I don't want to use up my calories but I'm hungry. I also just decided to add a splash of wine to my carrots. It's just cheap $2 chuck for cooking. See if I can get it in there without. Company while I wait for my carrots to cook and do some work. Jim's been in bed for like an hour. He had a long day. Hi, Darlie. You want to say hi? Hi, Booger. She has a little mustache and eyebrows. Little Groucho Marx dog. So there's the finished product. It looks delightfully burnt, but it's just all that balsamic vinegar has soaked in, kind of glazed the carrots. Gosh, those are beautiful. Kind of stir in some of the herbs a little bit. It smells amazing in my house right now. Okay, now for the moment of truth. I suppose all those multicolored carrots don't really matter after you do this to them. But They are just a touch al dente still. Still very carroty, but super balsamic and super herbaceous. You can taste the onion and the garlic. These are so good. I really should make a roast with this recipe sometime. But for now, I'm going to leave these out covered, but leave these out to cool and then wake up and come and put them in the fridge in a couple hours. And then go back to bed because it's crazy late. Good night.
Good morning. Today is February 5th, and I weighed in at 227.8, which is 1 pound up from yesterday. It's gonna be like this the whole time, especially this week. It's water weight gain week usually. I'm gonna work out harder. I can't really cut my calories more, but I'm going to work out more and maybe not eat any of the calories that I earn working out. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have a better number for you. It seems like it goes up and then it drops quite a bit, so hopefully it'll drop more tomorrow. At this point, I feel like even if I wanted to give up, I would just gain so much weight now that my body's used to a lower amount of calories. I've pretty much just doomed myself to dieting what feels like forever. I'm going to cut it off here, and I'll just catch up with you tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have a better number for you.